You can dominate a room without raising your voice. You can win a fight without throwing a punch. You can influence people without saying more than a sentence. How? By mastering the art of controlled speech. Friedrich Nietzsche believed that speech isn't just noise, it's power. And when you misuse it, you hand that power away. He who cannot put his thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of dispute. Picture this. Someone insults you online. You clap back instantly. You win the moment, but lose the long game. You react when you should have held still. Today, we're flipping that script. Here's something surprising. Nietzsche wasn't obsessed with shouting or winning arguments. He was obsessed with timing, control, and silence. The most common lie is that which one lies to himself. Words, to Nietzsche, weren't just tools, they were traps. The louder you get, the more exposed you are. In this video, you'll learn why silence is Nietzsche's hidden tactic, how speaking less gives you more control, when to speak in a way that shifts power, what to say that makes people think, not just listen, and how to spot when your own words are betraying you. This is urgent, because the more noise we live in, the more rare and valuable restraint becomes. Let's start with someone you probably know. She's in her 20s, sharp, creative, works in a high-pressure office. Every meeting turns into a competition. Every message is a war for attention. She's quick-witted, knows her stuff, but she talks too much. And when things go sideways, she explains, defends, over-talks. One day, she tries something different. She listens, waits, picks one sentence, then says it clearly. It lands like a hammer. Suddenly, people lean in. She's not speaking less because she knows less. She's speaking less because she knows better. This isn't manipulation. It's mastery. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Now ask yourself, what if speech wasn't about proving you're right, but proving you're in control? Speech reveals your weaknesses. Nietzsche believed words betray your state of mind. The more you rush to speak, the more you expose yourself. Talking much about oneself can also be a means to conceal oneself. That's the paradox. We talk to feel powerful, but often reveal insecurity. Ever been in a meeting where someone rambles endlessly? You start to wonder, do they actually know what they're doing? Nietzsche would say, they're bleeding information to cover fear. What is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil. If you trust yourself, you don't need applause. If your words come from strength, they don't beg for validation. Let's take a job interview, for example. Instead of giving a 3-minute answer full of buzzwords, you pause. You answer with one strong sentence. You turn a performance into a presence. Silence isn't awkward, it's armor. Say less than you know. Here's where it gets deeper. Nietzsche didn't just value silence. He believed in selective expression. A thought, even a possibility, can shatter and transform us. Your job isn't to impress. It's to drop the right thought at the right time and walk away. He warned that too much talk can drain the meaning out of things. Everything profound loves a mask. That includes ideas, power, wisdom, even truth. Why does this matter? Because in a culture obsessed with instant opinions, saying less has shock value. In a fight, the calm person unnerves the loud one. In politics, the cryptic speaker builds more curiosity than the over-explainer. For example, in a group debate, someone dominates the floor with facts and stats. You wait, and then say, That's one way to look at it, but who benefits if we're wrong? Boom. Now the room shifts. You didn't argue, you steered the focus. Invisible threads are the strongest ties. Your speech should pull, not push. Don't explain everything. Say something worth echoing. But here's the trap. You start speaking less, waiting more, and suddenly, people accuse you of being cold, manipulative, or arrogant. What then? That's where Nietzsche's next tactic comes in. Not just what to say, or when but how to keep power without becoming a stone. That's up next. Control your tone, not just your words. Here's what most people miss. It's not just what you say. It's how you say it and how you don't. You might be wondering, isn't this just about sounding confident? Nope, it's deeper. Nietzsche said, all great things must first wear terrifying and monstrous masks in order to inscribe themselves on the hearts of humanity. Tone is that mask. And when you choose it well, people listen, even if they don't understand you fully. That's power. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine you're disagreeing with your boss. You have a valid point. But instead of pushing it, you drop your voice, lean back, and say, maybe we're asking the wrong question. No anger, no noise, just calm disruption. What happens? People pause. The power shifts. Here's why. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. That applies to adults too. People crave new angles, but they fear open conflict, so they follow the calmest voice in the room, not the loudest. Tone is quiet, dominant. But don't confuse calm with fake. Control doesn't mean suppressing your truth. It means guiding its delivery. Never say everything you think. This one might sting. Nietzsche didn't believe in spilling everything. He believed in carrying weight in silence. It is not when truth is dirty, but when it is shallow, that the lover of knowledge is reluctant to step into its waters. Say too much, and you lose tension. And tension is what makes your words memorable. You might be wondering, isn't honesty important? Of course. But Nietzsche wasn't against honesty. He was against leakage. One should never know too precisely whom one has married. Weird quote, right? But it hits. The point? Mystery isn't deception, it's power. Think about artists. They don't show the full sketch, they frame it. Same goes for leaders, lovers, creators. Example, you're pitching a new idea. You don't rush into all the details. You start with a question. What if we stop doing what everyone else is doing? You leave the room curious, hungry. That's influence. The essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. Translation, say less. Let them fill in the rest. Leave space. That's where your power breathes. Here's a curveball. What if your words aren't the problem? What if it's your need to be heard? Nietzsche wrote, "He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises." Examine that again. It means even self-criticism is a form of self-focus. You might be oversharing not to connect, but to feel like you matter. Hard truth. Most of us speak too much because we're afraid of being forgotten. But what if restraint made you unforgettable? You might be wondering, isn't it risky to say less in a world that rewards loud? Yes, but Nietzsche was clear. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. The translation is this: if you want real power, you have to go against the noise. Let's pull it all together. Your tone is your weapon. Use it deliberately. Hold some thoughts back. Don't flatten your impact by explaining everything. Here's a checklist. Ask, does this need to be said, or do I just want to be seen? When you speak, speak slow. Own your pace. Leave gaps. Let others lean in. Because in Nietzsche's world, control isn't about domination. It's about direction. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. So the real why: to speak with purpose, to move through noise with signal, to keep your inner life strong enough that your outer voice doesn't have to shout. But there's a catch. What if people misunderstand your silence? What if control looks like coldness? In the final part, we'll tackle the real-world backlash of Nietzsche's speech tactics and how to keep your edge without losing your humanity. Here's the thing. Applying Nietzsche's ideas isn't easy. It might sound great in theory. Control your tongue, wield your power, and stand out. But in the real world, it's challenging. Especially when people expect you to speak up, explain, and show your hand. You might be thinking, what if people misinterpret me? What if they think I'm distant, rude, or even manipulative? It's a fair question. The balance between influence and alienation is thin, and Nietzsche's ideas can feel like walking a tightrope. So how do you use this philosophy without crossing that line? Let's break it down. Before the philosophy, you're a typical person in a meeting or conversation. You share your thoughts freely, talking to fill silences, make points, or get attention. You might speak quickly to ensure everyone knows you're engaged. You aim to be heard, not necessarily with purpose, but out of habit. You get anxious when there's a quiet gap. You fear being overlooked. After embracing Nietzsche's philosophy, you've learned to pause. You speak slower, but with greater weight. You think before you speak, and choose when silence might be more powerful than words. You begin to control your tone, ensuring it conveys confidence, calmness, and direction. Instead of rushing to fill silence, you let your words marinate, creating an air of mystery and power. But how do you apply this without risking alienation? Let's address some common objections. What if people think I'm cold or indifferent? Nietzsche said, "The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly." The key here is that Nietzsche was never about being intentionally distant. It's about being purposefully silent. When you control your tongue, you show people that you value depth over surface noise. It doesn't mean you're cold. It means you respect your words and their impact. What if silence doesn't work in a world that demands constant communication? Absolutely. It's true that today's world demands constant input. But ask yourself, does your constant communication actually create the change you want? As Nietzsche said, the most common form of human stupidity is forgetting what one is trying to do. Over-communicating can be a form of distraction. Using silence strategically and only speaking when necessary can allow you to make deeper, more meaningful connections. What if people think I'm hiding something? Nietzsche argued that he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. Holding some things back doesn't mean you're hiding anything. It's about maintaining a sense of control. You can be open without revealing everything. The right words at the right time carry much more weight than a constant stream of information. Doesn't this sound manipulative? Control can sometimes feel manipulative when misapplied, but Nietzsche's concept of control is rooted in authenticity. Become who you are. It's about embracing your power by being deliberate and mindful of your speech. Your words, carefully selected, reflect your true self, not a persona you're trying to project. Here's a simple action step you can apply right now. The next time you're about to speak in a meeting or conversation, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I want them to remember from this? Then speak that. Don't say more. You'll see how powerful silence can be. You'll notice how much weight your words carry when you limit them. Today, you learned. Control your tongue. Words are power. Choose them carefully. Master your tone. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Leave some things unsaid. Silence creates curiosity and maintains mystery. Speak with purpose. Be deliberate. Every word should count. Now, I want to leave you with one of Nietzsche's most powerful ideas. Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. The world may not always understand why you choose silence or choose your words so carefully, but that's not your job. Your job is to control your own narrative, and by doing that, you'll control your world.